At dawn in Aomori, 1936, a battered inmate slid a stolen wire into a rusted lock and disappeared, setting off Japan's most unbelievable prison escape saga. The name was Yoshi Shiratori, a man pushed toward the gallows by a confession wrung from him in blood and ice. The guards were relentless, the prosecutor wanted the ultimate penalty, and the cell was built to crush any hope he had left. Yet under the noise of boots and keys, he had mapped the rhythm of the patrols. 15 minutes, a flaw in the human chain, a breath where no eyes watched. He had smuggled a thin metal ring from a bath bucket and filed it into a wire slender enough to kiss iron and coax it open. One lock clicked, then another. The yard lay silent, the cold bit his hands, and the perimeter still pressed around his lungs. When the guards came back, they smiled at a lump beneath a duvet. A man asleep. The floorboards he had stacked became his double, and by sunrise the lie unraveled. He was gone. 3 days later, the spell snapped. While reaching for supplies in a hospital, he was caught and returned to a world of concrete and fists. The punishment was merciless, a life sentence and a promise whispered through clenched teeth that he would never see his family again. 6 years passed. War thundered through the islands. Shiratori was moved to Akita, where a special cell waited like a trap designed by a cruel engineer. The walls were copper-sheeted and slick. The ceiling was high. Light bled through a sealed skylight that no one could reach. Handcuffs clamped around his wrists and never left. There was one guard who did not add to the bruises. Kobayashi watched with a kind of wary pity, a small human thread in a room built to erase humanity. But pity did not loosen metal. The cuffs refused to give unless the man was a locksmith disguised as an inmate. He found another wire, turned wrists into tools, and shed iron. Then came the climb, palms and soles flattened against copper that would not hold anyone but him. He scaled the unclimbable, reached the skylight, and learned that wood rots even when a prison says it will not. Night after night he returned to the rotten seam, stripped fibers, replaced his cuffs, and hid the evidence under routine. The storm he waited for finally came, thunder swallowing footsteps, and the roof gave him the sky. He had escaped again. 3 months later, a knock sounded at a door. Kobayashi opened it to find a fugitive asking for help. Shiratori wanted to face the Justice Department, to expose the brutality he had suffered, and to win a legal path home. He believed the kind guard would stand up for him. As he visited the toilet, a phone call shattered that hope. The police arrived, trust burned away, and the courts added years to the sentence. He asked for the warmth of Tokyo. The answer sent him north to the coldest corner of the map, to Abashiri, a fortress etched in frost where no one had ever broken free. Winter there turned soup into ice and iron into pain. He arrived in summer clothing, was shoved back by a wall of guards, and announced his intention like a dare. The handcuffs did not scare him. He pulled at the chain and snapped it with force that shocked everyone watching. The prison took notes and drew a new box around him. Iron cuffs locked his hands behind his back. Leg irons weighed him down and offered no keyhole to the tricks he knew. The frame of the inspection window was shortened and bolted. The gaps shrank below the size of a body. The food was cut, the cold took his breath, and the wounds rotted until maggots writhed beneath steel. Winter ground him down, and spring let him breathe. He saved what strength he could and kept one ritual. Each day, a bowl of miso slid through the opening. Each night, a film of salt kissed the screws and bolts. It was chemistry on a prison clock. A screw loosened. He tucked it away and turned it into a crude tool. More iron gave up, inch by inch. The cuffs fell. The frame released. The opening was still smaller than any grown man could pass. He flattened joints like a contortionist and slid himself through a hole everyone swore would not take him. He climbed to the roof, slipped through a window, and left Abashiri with a record no one else held. The mountains waited with snow and silence. He found an abandoned mine and made it his shelter. He ate what the forest allowed, watched bears to learn where crabs hid, and turned solitude into safety. When curiosity pulled him back to a village, the world had changed. English signs marked streets that once shouted wartime slogans. Japanese girls walked hand in hand with American soldiers. A newspaper told him the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had been burned by atomic fire, and the country had surrendered. He decided to leave the mountain life and head towards Sapporo. Hunger nipped at him and a ripe tomato seemed harmless, but a farmer saw a thief. A struggle erupted, a blade cut. The farmer bled and died. Arrest followed with a name that shocked the station. The escape artist had been caught again, and the court threw the weight of a death sentence like an anchor. In Sapporo prison, 6 guards took shifts without blinking. They did not cuff him. They rebuilt the cell with steel and certainty, shrank every opening below the size of a human skull, and checked the ceiling nightly while he bathed. They watched him look up. He looked up on purpose. The plan had already chosen its path. The answer lay in the floor no one reinforced. Bolts held down boards that could be worried loose with patience. He used a spoon, a scrap of cutlery, and a miso bowl to move earth quietly beneath a futon that became a blanket over secrets. He refused the orders to rise when they barked them, trained them to see insolence instead of escape, and each night replaced the boards to erase the trail. One morning, they shook the duvet. There was no man, only stacked wood and an empty mark where a prisoner had been. 4 escapes now sounded like legend. The country transformed faster than any chase. In 1948, in a Sapporo neighborhood, a policeman sat down beside a tired stranger to smoke. He did not know the man. He offered a cigarette anyway. In an era where tobacco cost more than most could spare, kindness felt like a quiet mercy. For a man who had been hunted, beaten, betrayed by a guard he believed in, this simple gift cracked something open. He said his name. He admitted the escapes. He let the weight drop from his shoulders and accepted the consequences. The High Court listened with new ears, a justice system under American oversight, and the story of cruelty inside cold cells. The farmer's death turned from murder to self-defense. The death sentence lifted, replaced by 20 years, and the transfer to a warmer Tokyo prison approved at last. In Fuchu, he found guards who did not reach for batons first. Precautions were in place. His reputation hung on every lock, but the fight had left him. He became a model prisoner and 14 years later walked out on parole into a life he had not seen since he was young. He returned to Aomori to find his daughter, the only family left after so much time. In the country he left and re-entered as a myth, he was celebrated as an anti-hero, and the prison system wore the embarrassment of iron undone by soup, wire, and will. Subscribe to Scene Secrets for more untold escapes and enigmas. Was Yoshi Shiratori a folk hero shaped by brutality, or simply the most determined survivor in a country remaking its justice?